Hey, what's up, gentlemen and ladies? Welcome back to another Final Fantasy discussion, and today I got another 15 theory for you guys, and this time having to do with the possibility of having fal'Cie and l'Cie, as many people other than myself has speculated and brought up, in Final Fantasy 15. Now, if you're one of those purists that likes to say Final Fantasy 15 is no longer connected to the Fabula Nova Crystallis and has nothing to do with it, then I suggest you watch my previous video. I will leave a link to it in the description, where basically I just clear up all the misinformation going around and show you guys why FF15 still has connections to the FNC. I've talked to other Final Fantasy theorists like FF Peasant, which I'm sure you guys have heard about, and the general consensus between all of us is that all of the aspects from the FNC are still in the game, but they're most likely going to simply change the names around. So I doubt that in FF15 they'll actually call them fal'Cie and l'Cie, just like how they probably won't mention Etro by name in a similar fashion to how they renamed Eidolons to Archaeons, for example. Now, for those of you not familiar with the Fabula Nova Crystallis mythos, or that haven't played either 13 or Type 0, then you should really go check out my video explaining the entire lore, but the shortened version of it is basically, in this world, there are beings that were created by the gods called fal'Cie, who have a lot of power. Now, between the 13 trilogy and Type 0, they're slightly different, but if we're going by the Final Fantasy XIII designs, they're typically large, sort of half-robot armored creatures, which we definitely haven't seen any of in FF15, have we? No, but in all seriousness, my theory is that the beings in the sky, as well as potentially the woman in the logo, Etro, Eos, whoever it ends up being, may all be fal'Cie, since technically speaking, in the FNC, even the gods like Boonevels, Pulse, Lindsay are all considered fal'Cie, but other than appearance, there is one major clue that in my eyes makes it pretty obvious that this is what they were meant to be. See, the fal'Cie in 13 specifically have the ability to cast a curse on humans, turning them into what they call l'Cie. In this, the human l'Cie basically become their slaves and have a task that they must complete for their master fal'Cie. On top of this, the l'Cie are generally giving superhuman abilities, which again can vary, but I think I might know exactly who that could be in Final Fantasy 15. None other than Noctis himself, and maybe even Luna as well, but mainly Noctis. So, I've talked about in the past how Noct and Luna's abilities that have, by the way, not been explained to this day, we still have no clue, like, why or how they got these powers, but they are direct opposites from each other. Luna can talk to gods, which gave life to all humans, and Noctis can see deaths before they happen, so life and death, a theme that is very prevalent in Final Fantasy XV, as the old Versus trailers had a Grim Reaper and Goddess of Death representing the Kingdom of Lucis. Now, I know what you're thinking. That could just be any random magical power that they have. It doesn't necessarily mean that those cloud monsters, as they used to be called, gave it to Noctis himself. And Noctis is the one that I'm mainly going to focus on during this theory, since that's the one I have more evidence for. Sorry, Luna. But let's think back for a second, shall we? When was the first time that we ever saw these cloud monsters? Think really hard. The memory is probably buried somewhere deep in your brain, in a part that you probably never wished you had to remember. That's right, Gamescom 2015, baby, hashtag Dawn trailer. Now, let's look at all of the clues here, okay? We have Regis crying, holding a young Noctis in his arms, then we see 3 of these cloud monsters in the sky. Now, at first glance, we all just thought that this was a dumb, pointless trailer that didn't meet our expectations, but they obviously showed us this for a reason. During the Gamescom ATR and in some interviews, Tabata said that the reason Regis was crying was because of Noctis, and that Regis found out something having to do with his destiny. Could it be that Regis is crying for Noctis because Noctis just got cursed by the cloud monsters who were actually fal'Cie the whole time? Is it possible that right then and there, they gave Noctis the ability to see deaths before they happen, and who knows what else? I mean, did we ever question why Noct has the ability to teleport everywhere? We just accepted it and took it for granted, but it's an ability that we've never seen anyone else in the game do. That could be a part of it. But wait a second, I'm not done just yet. Pay attention to Regis for just 1 second. He seems really sad for Noctis. He's crying while the boy's there sleeping without a care in the world. But Regis knows exactly what's going to happen with Noctis because, wait for it, it's also what's happening to Regis himself. That's right, Regis is also a fal'Cie. He has been this whole time. Think about it. fal'Cie are beings powered by magical crystals. And who has the last remaining crystal in the world? The Kingdom of Lucis, led by their monarch, Regis Callum. Could it be that the fal'Cie were the ones who gave Regis the task of protecting the crystal? We know that Regis has magical powers. We've seen him use things like Armiger in the past. But not only that, he has been holding up a giant barrier across the entire city of Insomnia. He is the one holding that thing up, which once again, we just accepted and never questioned why or how he even got the powers to do something like that. If you recall, in Final Fantasy XIII, the l'Cie are given time limits. They only serve the fal'Cie for so long, and after a while they begin to get drained until they eventually turn into monsters called Cie'th. What have we seen Regis go through ever since 2006? Well, he started off looking pretty good, fairly young, almost like a mafia boss, but as we kept seeing him more and more throughout the years, he kept looking older and more worn out, and this isn't simply a design aspect. They have confirmed that the reason Regis is aging faster than he normally would is because he is holding up the magic barrier over Lucis, and that is draining him. And in even more recent screenshots and video clips, and I do mean recent, like from this summer, what have we seen happen to Regis? His face is turning really veiny, and out of nowhere now he has a horn on the side of his head. Could it be that he's starting to turn into a monster? A Cie'th? Because his time serving as a l'Cie is up. That's why he was crying for his son Noctis, because he knew that one day he would go through the same fate, as he too was cursed by the fal'Cie. It's a wild theory, but the pieces all line up. We'll see what ends up happening when the game finally releases. So what do you guys think? Are the Cloud Monsters fal'Cie or something else? What do you think they could be? Be sure to let me know in the comments. Either way, that's all that I have for you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to blitz that like button, subscribe as always. Stay tuned for all things Final Fantasy!